Hello, friends and gamers. My name is Jinx, and welcome to Operation Hats. It is July 1942 and the German 13th turn. Thank you all for your participation and watching and your patience with me as I do my turns. Things are pretty busy for me in my workplace. I work in the oil field industry, and this is considered like the 100 days of hell, they call it, where it's routine for everybody to work more than 12 hours a day. It's just insane. But the nice thing about it is eventually when summertime rolls around, things will slow down. So that's the hope. Let's see if it works out. So in regards to the game, I am a little bit more optimistic now than I was in the previous turn. I think things are going better for the Axis now. And there's a few things that lead me to that conclusion. Although I am a bit of a teeter-totter back and forth in my optimism about this game. Sometimes, some turns, I'm very pessimistic. Next turn, I'm very optimistic. And sometimes, even the course of a single turn, I might go from both extremes. But let's go over a turn summary about what occurred in the previous turns, and maybe it'll make some sense. First of all, the Germans made an attack against the British Navy in the sea zone here in M2 and sunk the British fleet, the bulk of the British fleet that was remaining on the board. They had 3 heavy cruisers and 1 destroyer, and we lost 3 submarines in the attempt. Maybe even a fighter, but I think it was just the 3 submarines. The British fleet only remains with 2 coastal subs, coastal defense ships, submarine, and another submarine on the board, and a few transports. So quite a few units has been decimated off the board. Of course, they took off a lot of Italian units and German units as well, but it looks quite good in regards to fleet composition. The Germans also focused on defense on the eastern front in Bessarabia. The Russians could have attacked Bessarabia and would have likely captured it, but it would have been a Pyrrhic victory where they would have lost a lot of their units and a lot of high-quality units as well. So they decided to fight another day and instead withdrew back into Orel-Kursk, and from this position, they can either attack northwards along the north side of the Pripyat marshes or southwards through Ukraine. And both are options they can do, and it means that Germany will have to focus on defense on both sides depending on which direction they launch their attacks. We'll have to see how that pans out for them, but for right now we're just going to shore up our position in eastern Poland in anticipation of going in either direction. So that's kind of what's going on there. The Russians also didn't make any attacks along the Black Sea, which I was slightly concerned about, but overall, that's the situation for the Russians on the European side. On the Soviet Far East side, the Russians have lost some territory. They made some lunges towards Chinese territory in Hopei, in Manchurian territory, but the Japanese rapidly captured that back, capturing Hopei, Suyan, Primorsky Krai, and Chita in this last turn, changing the balance of powers a little bit nicely, and Western Manchuria as well. So things look quite well. Japan is starting to change the equation. Of course, it's still quite a scant few amount of troops here on the board, but things are generally seem to be tipping in the Axis favor here. The CCP, of course, are still quite strong, and they might make their play in the next turn. They might even go for Shensi if they so choose to do so, and it's going to look quite grim for the Japanese up here in the northern portions of China. But the nice thing is, on the KMT turn, when the KMT made their attack against Kwangtung, they took off only 2 Japanese units, and they lost, I think, somewhere around 6 units of their own. So we'll see if any future attacks, if they decide to come through or not. But I have my doubts if there will be any more attacks coming in from KMT towards this territory. Although, perhaps the KMT will decide to go in other avenues of attack instead. But things look good for Japan. They went and secured their position in the Dutch East Indies, capturing some extra income. They're now at 63 bucks of income, which is quite a handsome amount of power there. The Americans, unless they capture a bunch of territories, have 75 bucks once they're at war. And so with 63 for the Japanese and still the Americans 1 turn away, things can be quite nice for the Japanese as they manage to push off the enemy and maybe even capture some more Russian, Mongolian, and Chinese territories as well. So things look quite nicely, and maybe the Japanese might launch an attack into Sydney next turn, and again, tip the balance a bit. But the Anzac, for their part, are putting a very strong defense of Sydney, a huge force present there. 3 anti-aircraft guns, 7 militia, and 5 infantry there. A sizable force, so I'm not sure what to do about that. Davik has done quite a fantastic job in defense of Malaya and Calcutta, and it's going to be quite hard for the Japanese to crunch into those territories. But on the nice side of things, Japan's probably going to hold on to Burma quite nicely with a fortification, a few units, and not that many units capable of attacking that position. So things are quite well for the Japanese, all things considered. But for the Indian forces and Australia as well, I think things are quite nicely for those guys too. So all in all, things are going well for everybody involved here. Maybe the Russians are losing ground, but everywhere else, the Axis on the Japanese side here are doing quite nicely for themselves. The Free French are the dominant force on the African continent. They have 4 medium armor, they have 1 mechanized, they have a bunch of infantry and artillery, and doing quite well. And looks like they're going to make their push towards Cape Town with their army sitting here in Rhodesia. So with that in mind, I wonder what that's going to look like. They can definitely get to this position quite quickly. Yeah, it'll be a tough one to figure out. I don't know if the Italians will hold on to it, but it's not worth a victory point anyways. So I'm not terribly concerned, but we'll have to see how that pans out. But yeah, the Free French have been continuously receiving Lend-Lease from the Americans, and we hope to, once the Americans are in that war, we'll see a little bit less resources coming in that direction. And that is about it here for these guys. Turning our attention to the British Commonwealth, they lost their fleet, as I mentioned before, but they held on to Gibraltar, which is, I think, a worthwhile exchange. Once Gibraltar falls, it's hard for the soft underbelly of Europe to be exposed, and so in this case, I think it's a worthwhile exchange. Now, the British have also secured their position in the British Islands. They received another American fighter here, and between London, Southern England, and Northern England, well, they'll hold on to those territories quite nicely. They have a small fleet here, 2 coastal defense ships, a submarine, a few transports, and the Free French units here, but things are overall quite well for them, and they're holding on to their position. But it's a defensive position, and Germany isn't too pressured just yet. And then the Italians had a very quiet turn. The Italians, last turn, they went into Istanbul, and then the Russians bombed the port, and the Italians had the option of kind of scrambling 3 transports out to the Aegean Sea. But the downside is we didn't know what could hit us. If the Free French could hit us, or if the British could hit us in some fashion, going 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, 5 if they got tech or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how. Perhaps with a seaplane or a medium bomber to the Free French. But yeah, it would have been difficult to resist that attack. So we decided, because we didn't know all the factors, just to stay in port in Istanbul. Of course, that means that on the Italian turn, they're still locked in there and couldn't go out. We had originally planned on going after Crete and some of the Greek areas, but unfortunately we couldn't do so. So that's kind of what went with them. They had a very short turn, only 6 minutes. Nothing much going on for them. And then the Americans. The Americans are still out of the war. They have a huge fleet here. 2 carriers, 2 battleships, 2 heavy cruisers, and a bunch of destroyers and light cruisers. A sizable fleet. And so they are the dominant fleet on the European side. But we have some hope here too for the Germans. The Mediterranean fleet, or sorry, the American transport fleet might still go for the Mediterranean. They have a decent amount of forces here. The British can upgrade a port, and then suddenly, they're in range to get here and can jump into port. And next turn they can be in Cape Town, or 2 turns from now. So things can change quite rapidly. Or from this position, they can hit the northern coast of France, which, yes, the soft underbelly is meant for a reason, and Italy doesn't have a great amount of resources to spend, but France would be a tougher challenge. But Paris is worth 3 victory points to the Allies, and 2 of those victory points could never be taken away if the Allies manage to capture Paris and lose it later on. So it would change the equation a little bit. Right now, the Axis have, where are we at? Right now, the Axis have 7 victory points, the Allies 4, and the Comintern 3. If the Allies capture Paris, then that would tip the balance, and then the Allies would have 7, the Axis 6, and still the Comintern 3. So that would be a worthwhile endeavor for them. So that's my thinking. From this position here off the coast of Gibraltar, they can decide to go in any direction, right? Northwards, southwards. We'll have to see whatever is most beneficial for victory point wise. But the big news for them that gives Germany some hope is that the American Pacific Fleet moved from San Francisco back to Hawaii, which means it could pressure Japan, but it also means that these guys aren't going to be in the Atlantic theater, which means that they have to be a little bit more cautious on the Atlantic side where they invade. So that gives me some optimism. Of course, these guys might still go over to the Atlantic side, but yeah, from this position and also upgrading this port in Midway, it means that things might change a little bit. Of course, Japan will be pressured a little harder, but at the end of the day, I think it's a stronger move, and Germany is happier about the situation. Although Japan might be a little bit disappointed at how things pan out. We'll have to see. But I'm quite happy with seeing how these guys over here. Okay, America is still out of the war for one more turn, but we'll have to see how that goes. Let's get started on the German turn. We rolled for technology, 4 rolls, 1 success. Amphibious doctrine succeeded. I don't know which one that is. This one right here, 7. Let's go to our production. We have 73 bucks to spend. We're getting Italian fortification, a mystery fortification. Apparently, I don't have to declare who it goes to. That's what this one stands for. And we're repairing some damage. So altogether, 4 bucks for the Italians. 3, 4. 4 bucks for the mystery fortification. An airfield. Sorry, airfield for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. $2 discount for the submarines, but $2 for repairing the Istanbul port. So 73 bucks. And this is what units we're getting. Let's get into some combat moves, starting with these 2 fighters off the coast of Sardinia, coming and hitting this coastal defense ship in A28 on their way back to Normandy. We are going to do a little convoy raid over here in I4. You know what? I don't think we're going to convoy raid. I'm going to cancel that attack. We're just going to go there and hang out. We're going to prevent any Lend-Lease from coming to Abyssinia. That's the hope anyways. That's what we're going to go for. These guys are going to come from southern Iraq to southern Iran. We're going to combine it with a tactical bomber from Tobruk and our Air Force from Romania. Going to come in there. Everything but the medium bomber only has 1 movement point left. The medium bomber has 3. So that's what's looking over here. And then we're doing an attack in Lithuania to Latvia. And we're going to do a seaborne attack with 3 Marines, 2 infantry, a heavy Tiger tank coming in from Helsinki, and our fleets coming to this position as well. So that's 2 battleships, a destroyer, 3 heavy cruisers, and a coastal defense ship coming into Leningrad. We'll see how that pans out. Let's get started with our combat moves. Let's leave the bigger battles till later since they're a little bit more fun. Let's look at those 2 guys up there. 1, 2. Okay, blue will stand in for the defender. Everybody's gonna roll at 6s. So let's see what the results are. Okay, 1 hit on either side. All right, we take that guy off the board. And this guy as well. That's too bad. Well, I'd hoped to preserve that fleet, but hey, 50% chance of getting lost. But yeah, that is too bad. Turning our attention to this theater over here. That was a worthwhile exchange for the British. Turning our attention here to southern Iraq. I think that will be the more interesting one to roll out. Okay. So our attacking force, the red dice will be the fighters. This dice here will be the tactical bomber. And I gotta say the yellow dice is going to be the medium bomber. The reason it matters is because 1 dice has target selection. And then our infantry going to be gray dice. Oopsie daisy. You know what? I'm not going to roll it all together. Let's just roll it like this and then go from there. Okay, rolling for our Air Force. Okay, I see 1, 2, 3 hits from the Air Force. 1, 2, 3. I should also do our first strike for our artillery. Miss. Okay, and now our infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, and the 5 will be the one that's boosted up. Okay, nothing from those guys. So only 3 hits altogether. And now on the defense side, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 boost up. Yeah. On the defense side, they have 3 at 2. 3 at 2. And then they have 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 blue ones. Okay, let's roll this out. The 5 blue ones are 4, and the light blue is 2s. All right, so 2 hits there. That's expected, and the 2 over here. All right, so 3 dice, 3 units lost. We're gonna take off our AA and 2 infantry. And on their end, they lost 3 guys. Oops, and we lost our medium bomber just then. That is too bad. Okay, here we go. Going into round 2. That's for our air forces. 2 hits. 2 hits only. That's not the greatest. And our land forces are now at 2 red. And those will be 2 at 1 and 2 at 2. That stands for the artillery and infantry boosted up. 1 hit, so 3 hits total. Not too bad. And the enemy now has 5 at 4. Five at 4 with 1 hit and plenty of 5s there. So they lost 3. And we lost 1. Okay, going into another attack here. Our air forces, we only need 2 hits now. And we got 3. All right, that could have happened earlier, but oh well. Here is double checking 1, 2, 3. Yeah, double checking the infantry. No hits there, so we managed to take him out. So bad luck in that regards for us to some extent. But we did manage to capture territory, and that territory is worth $4 to us. So it's, I don't know, it's probably still a good purchase there. Okay, now going into our attack on Leningrad. So this will be a very, very interesting one. Okay, so first of all, the shore bombardment rolls. Now, keep in mind, the shore bombardment, we actually don't get our full values of shore bombardment because the enemy has a fortification, so we get -1 to our shore bombardment rolls. So, sorry, -1. We just 1 less. So here's 4 at 1. Nothing. And then 2 at 3. 1 hit. Good. But the enemy has a Soviet anti-aircraft gun, so they can take that off the board and still have everything else benefit quite nicely. Oops. Good. All right, so there's that. And now the enemy does get to roll in response. 3 dice at 2. And that will stand in for their coastal defense gun. So 3 at 3, rather. Ooh, miss, miss, miss. And now they get 2 first strikes there for their artillery. Miss, miss. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. All right, now our attack's going in. Since we have amphibious doctrine, that means all of our guys can go in on round 1. So it's too bad that all their rolls missed. Here we go. It's just the name of the game sometimes, unfortunately. Unless I missed something, I'll have to take a look at it because that fortification, I think it's at a 4 or less. Let me double check that here. Fighters, seaplane, probably lower down here. I need to have a quick look at that and see. At 5. I wonder if I succeed in that one or if I missed. Okay, just in case, I'm going to set aside 2 dice here. And those, I'll roll them later. But these dice are the ones that for sure I get to roll. And these 2 dice are the ones that if the coastal gun did hit, then that's what it would roll. So rolling for this. Nothing. Round 1, 0. Okay, and these 2 guys are rolling. Nothing there. So nothing on the first round. The enemy, on their hand, has a few guys that they can roll. 2 infantry. And I guess we'll use the militia here as yellows. Infantry at 5. Oops, sorry, make that 6. And the militia at 4s. So yellow militia at 4. Okay, 1 militia succeeded. So on the first round, we have to take off a marine. Round 2 begins here now. Again, I'll keep that off to the side just in case. Round 2, that's a tank there. How much did the tiger roll out? I think it's an 8. I wouldn't be surprised if it's an 8, but just to double check. 8, yeah. Okay, round 2. 1 hit. Okay, 1 hit only. That's pretty easy for them. And on their end, they score us for 1 hit. So I'm going to put this one there as a potential. I know I'm all tangled up here now, but let's roll for this. On round 2, nothing. Nothing at all. Okay. So we're going to take off their militia. Now we go into round 3. 2 hits. I'm going to roll these. I'm kind of lost here now. Roll those. 3 hits. And on their side, 1 hit. So 3 hits and 1. So I don't know why I rolled this one, because that one's definitely off the table. Why did I do that? Okay, that's off the table. So just 2 hits. And on their end, they have 1 hit. So I could take off 2, and they take off 1 of mine. All right. Sorry, guys. Moving into round 4. Hit, hit. Miss. Okay, round 4. Miss. All right, I think that's... Excuse me. Okay, I think we wiped them out. I don't think that transport planes can hit me. I don't think the seaplane can hit me unless it can hit amphibiously assaulting units. In that case, we'd have to take another look at. But I do have a destroyer that would take part in it. I guess I should have stated what else would occur in that circumstance. But yeah, that is the thing. Keep in mind, too, my transports can now defend at a 1. So that means that each round that they would be able to combat and fight. Okay, so that is, by my understanding, how it works. And I think that means I end up with 4 units left over. 4 in the tank there. So I'm going to move this off. Also, these guys will come off the table. And sorry for the confusion, people. I really do apologize. I should have been more attentive to that. I will view the video at the first opportunity and put them on the board one fashion or another. There we go. These guys will go here. My kids are knocking on the door. Okay. So we have, I think, these guys right here. I think, unless they were successful in that first round, but I think they did miss. But I think we did that right. I have to view it a little bit more later on just to really set it out in my mind. Okay. Now, if that is the case, and again, I'm not sure if this Mannerheim line stays or is taken off the board. If that is the case, and I do survive with 4 or 5 units, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, then I may or may not, depending on who all survived, I may put my ships into port, or I may not. I need to talk about it. I'll review the video, and I'll make the decision later on. Okay, let's go straight to the non-combat moves. So I'm going to move these 3 guys from Helsinki to that position there. I'm going to start everything else here too. This torpedo boat destroyer is going to go into port here. We are, if the seaplane can scramble, then I would have put the torpedo boat destroyer there, right here in A14. Okay, I don't think they can, though. I don't think that works. I think that's only if fighters can scramble. Okay, this infantry goes here. And now we're going to move a sizable force into East Poland. So all the surrounding area stuff is going to go into here. It's going to be a bit messy. I'll organize it later before I pass the turn on to the next person. These guys come in here. The medium armor comes in here as well. These guys are all here. Yes, that's right. Okay, good, 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 good. This cavalry comes to Bulgaria. This cavalry and these two guys come into Istanbul. There we have it. This infantry comes to Transjordan. This guy comes to southern Iraq. Good. These two units come over here and they're going to go into port. We're going to move these two infantry from Upper Egypt to Lower Egypt. And infantry goes from Normandy south to Aquitaine. Anti-aircraft gun comes across to Normandy. Blue division as well. Blue division comes from Belgium to Picardy. From Western Germany to Belgium. From Berlin to Western Germany. And I have 3 rail movements. So from Eastern Germany to Aquitaine. From Eastern Germany to Normandy. From Eastern Germany... Where will it go? 2 more from Eastern Germany to Italy. 1 into Lazio and 1 to Southern Italy. Oh, and this what was I going to send? An anti-aircraft gun? I guess an anti-aircraft gun's going all the way to Lower Egypt as well. Or Upper Egypt, whatever it's called. That's not quite... Oh, no, I'm going to just send it here to Lower Egypt. So never mind on that one. Okay, landing these aircraft all coming into southern Iraq. Medium bomber is going to land in Upper Egypt, I think. Yeah, Upper Egypt. No, he's actually going to land in Akdeniz. 1, 2, 3, 4. Akdeniz over here. Okay, then I have a transport plane is going to come to East Poland to this place, Donolaske, and drop him off in Kola as well as landing there himself in that position. And, oh yeah, one more from Alsace-Lorraine to Paris. Okay, I think that is it for all of our movements. Yes, that's it for all of our movements. Let's go place units on the board. Oh, one more. The seaplane is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do seaplanes benefit from air bases? If he does, he's going to go here. And if not, he's going to stay back in Western Germany. I think he does, but I could be wrong. All right, now to put our units on the board, I could delete these two because that stands in for this one. And these 2 things go off the map. Airbase and these guys. Okay, I'm going to grab all this, come to the map, get it a little closer to where the action is. Put it right here. Okay, we're put a submarine over here. Yeah, submarine's going to go there. Yeah, I think that's a good spot. This other submarine's going to go over here. Yeah, alright, this anti-aircraft gun is going to come into Paris, and then the blue division, of course, in Berlin. And then I have my militia, so I'm going to put a militia here in Aquitaine, a militia here in southern Finland, a militia in Lapland, and then a militia in Kola. Then I have some infantry. I'm going to put the 2 marines here. I'm going to put an infantry in Romania, an infantry in Warsaw, and infantry down here. And then I have a few guys left over. So 1... Did I move it in? Yeah. 1, 2, 3 here. I gotta do something like this. And this guy's going to go over here in Syria. This guy there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this guy's going to come over and put it in southern Iraq. Oops. I believe that concludes everything. This has been kind of a messy turn. I'm not sure exactly if everything makes sense. I need to decide on a couple of things, specifically this one over here. Exactly what's going on there. But I need to put down some roundels as well. For capturing territories. All right, we've captured that one. Okay, so our income should go up by 1, 2, 3, 4. I think just $4. Oh yeah. So this Italian Lend-Lease stays in the Lend-Lease box over here. Good stuff. All right, I think that covers everything. Let's see if the income shifts. So $4. So I'm at 64. I should be at 68 if I did that correctly. 68. Good. Okay, and that means I also get a little bonus here for southern Iran. So that's an extra $2. So 68, 69, 70, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. Is that right? 68. Yeah. 78, 80. $80 to spend on the subsequent turn if things are correct. So I'm going to just bump my income up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. $80 to spend on our next turn. Hopefully that is correct. All right, we had some unfortunate things, especially with this fighter, but apart from that, things are looking fairly okay. All right, gentlemen, thank you all for watching. I will get back to you as quick as I can about the situation here. It was a little confusing to me as well. So thank you all for watching. Cheers.